And hello, everybody. It's Wednesday. Wednesday the 25th? Is that the day, right? 2015. And what time is it? It's game time. Welcome to episode number 8 of John and Ted's excellent Gamecast, brought to you by RaptorCow. Hey, we're up early, a day early, so everyone can get ready for that huge Thanksgiving feast action. I know I'm excited. Hope you're all listening while you're traveling. Maybe it's Thursday and you have the itis after eating a whole turkey. That's cool. I'm going to be sleeping a lot and watching football. So I'm your host and CEO of RaptorCow, Ted Edwards. And as always, I'm here with Jonathan Nadeau. What's up, man?
Hola. Greetings. Salutations.
What's going on, dude? What's going on for Thanksgiving? You getting excited?
Oh, yeah. We're having my in-laws over, and my sister's going to come over. So there'll be, 10 of us.
Oh, and, so you're not excited? The in-laws? Oh, no.
No, I like them. They like me, so it's good.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Okay, good. Well, just making sure everything's on point there.
Yeah, no, that's good. Then my one thing I'm looking forward to, my wife let it slip. I think she was trying to surprise me with it, but she's making this, Nutella cream pie kind of thing.
Oh.
And I'm very, very excited.
Nice. That sounds delicious. Well, make sure you send me some, please, because I'll eat it.
I'll try.
Well, John, we are not alone. As always, we have a special guest, and today we have Chase Bethea. What's up, Chase?
What's going on? How you guys doing?
We are excellent. Talking about Thanksgiving,
Fantastic.
My favorite holiday, so I'm always good about that, man. Food? Yeah. For sure. What Thanksgiving, what's the deal, Chase? What do you got going?
Oh, man, I'm probably Thanksgiving hopping around. I got a couple friends I got invited to their houses, say a couple hellos, and share some Thanksgiving with a little bit of everyone.
See, that's the way to do it. You get multiple dinners. You bring something one here and one there, and hang out. Get some dessert over there.
Yeah, well, what you gotta do though is find out who's cooking the turkey how. So that way you're like, okay, I'm gonna eat the turkey over here, but then when I get here, I'm not gonna touch the turkey.
Yep.
Exactly.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
gotta make a game plan, dude. You gotta get an Excel spreadsheet and start, planning this thing out.
It's so funny
In
you mentioned
advance.
that because I was actually thinking that in a different way. So you said it so nicely, and I think I'll run with that way.
Excel spreadsheet is the way to go. You have to do it. You gotta get
I
some
don't like your
CRM.
food, so actually I planned this out a little bit differently here.
Yeah,
Nothing,
exactly.
no offense.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Yeah.
call everyone ahead of time, be like, yo, what's going down on Thanksgiving? What are you guys cooking? And then take it down and then just break it down, little by little, and then you'll know exactly what, save room for where, and you'll know how to break it all down.
And you don't have to be rude about it. Say, hey, what are you cooking? You'd be like, hey, I was thinking about bringing something. What's everyone else bringing? So,
Man, you guys got it down.
please, dude.
Taking notes over here.
Dude, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Honestly, it's better than Christmas, better than any other day, better than my birthday. I love Thanksgiving because it's the only day where it's an excuse to eat yourself sick, and I do it every single year, without fail.
Speaking of that, I gotta tell a story about my best friend. He's a big kid. He's like 6'8", 400 pounds,
Oh, wow.
and his girlfriend, her brother, is like this really, really good chef, I guess, in New York City. And a few years ago, they went up to his place for Thanksgiving, and my buddy just ate himself into a coma and passed out on the couch there because he was just like, oh man, this food is so good. And she's like, you're still, he missed it. I think he took 6 or 7 plates full of food because it was just so good. And he just literally ate himself into a coma, fell asleep on their couch, was snoring and everything. He's like, I don't care. He's like, the food was so good.
That is awesome. Well, hey, that's a perfect segue, John, into I'm going to pull this email a little early. It's from Nick from Fresno. He says, hey, excellent adventurites. Happy Thanksgiving. What are some of your favorite fun Thanksgiving stories? Boom.
There you go.
So there you go. Is that yours? Do you have one personal one?
Yeah, I would probably say I don't really necessarily have one for me, at least that I can think of. So just my best friends just stands out so much to me. So I'm going to go with that one.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
For
Your favorite Thanksgiving? Yeah, your favorite Thanksgiving story.
Oh, man. So I don't really remember a lot of the Thanksgivings, but I do always remember my mom's macaroni and cheese.
Oh,
And I guess my Thanksgiving story to remember is the first time I actually made it successfully when I moved out.
Oh.
And my mom was impressed because this is like a recipe, the one I can't give away. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
same.
two,
I got a bunch of those.
it's really hard to make because it's been passed down since my great grandmother. So to do it correctly and do it justice and have people like it, including your mom, like, you know, say I approve is like an accomplishment in itself. So that's
Nice.
my only Thanksgiving story I can remember right
That
now.
is good. See, like my family's from the South, so I get the Southern mac and cheese too. So yes, I can attest to that old secret adage. One of our family recipes is biscuits, like the famous biscuits made from scratch by hand, like everything.
What?
Flour, yeah.
Request.
Exactly, they are amazing. My grandmother, she made amazing. My mom still says she can't make as good as grandma's, but I still think she can. So, but it's amazing. So, but mac and cheese is good too.
My wife's got a really good oatmeal biscuit recipe that she does for
Oatmeal.
Thanksgiving.
Interesting. Is
Yeah.
it good?
Oh yeah.
Really? Well, again, so basically, I'm gonna give you an address, and you're gonna send me a crate of just overnight.
Exactly. There you go.
I'll send you with some dry ice, freeze it, and send it over. Okay.
Well, if you're a fan of salsa, I'll get my mother-in-law to make her salsa.
Yep.
She's half Native American and half Indian, half Mexican.
Uh huh.
So she makes this insane salsa. Like
That is
everyone goes crazy for. If you like some hot stuff that tastes good, I'll have to send you out some of that too.
I'm on board. Like I said, I'm a fan of food, so it's good. So I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my favorite Thanksgiving story. And this is kind of like a funny, embarrassing one. I always tell this to people. So when I was a coach, my first year at the Vikings, I was young and I was up there by myself. And the director of player personnel, great guy, still a good friend. He kind of took me under his wing and just showed me the ropes. He's about 55, 60-year-old gentleman, and but he's really experienced, like awesome dude. And he had kind of all the misfits over at his house who didn't have anywhere to go, right? And he's an amazing cook. Like him and his wife are amazing. They had a beautiful house. Invited a bunch of the younger players who didn't have anywhere to go. A couple like the coaches and etc. So there's maybe 25 of us over there, and it's just they made trays and trays and trays of food, right? So Les, he's like, I really want you to meet my daughter. So I was like, oh, okay, because he liked me. He's like, I want you to meet my daughter, and his daughter was a year older, and very nice girl, and so I guess he talked me up to her, and so dinner came around, and everyone said grace, and we started getting foods, and so she sits down next to me, and Les, and this is everyone knows during training camp. Back with the Vikings, I used to out-eat all like the linemen, and I put bets on money on it. And so they were like, hey, I'll bet you Teddy can out-eat you. They're like, no, and I would always win. And so I can put food away. And so Les is amazing, and he's amazed at that. So he's like, all right, he's like, he's telling everyone, hey, Ted can eat some food. Ted can eat some food. So anyway, I sit down next to his daughter, and we're eating and talking, and I eat a full plate, like a giant plate, just stacked. And she's like, oh, cool. I get up, go get another plate. And we're still talking here and there, like just full to the brim, right? I get my third plate full to the brim. She's looking at me a little weird. Like I'm like, okay, I'm just housing this food. Like, I mean, this is the biggest plates I've ever seen, the most food I've ever eaten in Thanksgiving, right? I get up for plate number 4. Not quite as big as the first 3 that I had, but still bigger than most people's around the table, the 25 other people. Number 4. And then she's looking at me like, oh my goodness. I get up for plate number 5, and she's disgusted. So, and then plate number 6 comes around. It's sparse, but it's still like covering everything. And she gets up and walks away.
Nice.
And then I did have a 7th of dessert, and then I had an 8th of food like about an hour later, and that was the most full I'd ever been. I had to wait like 4 hours before I drove home because I couldn't move. But yeah, so I grossed a girl out, so eating
Nice.
too much.
Way to go, man.
Right? So I thought that was an interesting deal. I made that mistake a couple other times, but hey, whatever. Yeah, I was engaged. Food's awesome.
But with Shauna though, you don't have to hold back though, right?
Shauna can eat more than I can. So
there you go.
Yeah,
So.
She's pretty awesome, and she's probably like embarrassed right now listening to this. But hey, sorry.
Hi, Shauna.
You can put it away. Oh, man. So, last night, Chase, I'm just going to jump into this. We had a chance to go to one of a panel that you were a part of, and you talked about what you do. And so what I'm going to do, so everyone knows who the heck is with us, because we do this every time. There's always a random voice. So let's give your quick little elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Chase Bethea. I'm composer and sound designer for video games, and I've been in the industry for about 4.5 years. And I'm here because you guys think I'm worthy. So thank you for having me. and yes, I was on my first game audio panel last night with some good friends of mine, Cole Hicks and Alex Cote and Jeff Swingle. And
Alex is on episode number 5. Yes.
Yes. Go ahead and check that one out. That was really good. And I gave a talk about how I built a mini Foley stage. A brief introduction to what Foley is for people who don't know. So Foley is like the interpretation of doing like sounds and like instead of a post in a studio with just random objects to create like the things that you can't get on set with a boom. And so Jack Foley, the actual technique that is behind, does like the sounds in a recording booth and sets it to picture so that they just sound more polished and complete.
So it's like a car crash that like break a glass or something like that, like right?
Like
movie,
little things, punches and cape moves and all this other stuff, and that all that stuff is pretty much like done with like a Foley actor and footsteps and things like that through hallways and whatnot. So what I did was I don't have $50,000 to rent out the actual Sony scoring stage to do that. So what I did was I took like $30 to $60 and just built like this mini like 4x8 type of little stage for me to step in and then create little sounds to actually give character and identity to the game I Can't Escape Darkness, which came out in September on Steam.
That's awesome. Yeah, and 4x8 that's a coffin. That's pretty big.
It's not that big, but yeah.
That's pretty cool. I guess. What did they? Who said you got a good review from about the sound on the game, right? Who said that?
It was Tech Raptor.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And I hate Raptor. Nice. I like it. But yeah, well, what did they say about the game?
Like the playbook there.
I know. They said the sound was like the best part, or it was a great quote. I really thought it was awesome. Because I had a chance to be at the panel and listen to you talk, and again, you were great. You had some awesome stuff that I didn't really think of, so it was pretty cool.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and thanks for coming out, to listen to that talk and everything, because I didn't know if people were actually going to like it. I wrote the original article on Gama Sutra earlier in the year, and it blew up, and I had no idea that it just like took off. And
we'll put it in the show notes for sure. We'll link that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I explained in the actual article again what I talked about in the talk, like the materials that I used and how much they cost, where you could get them, and then the actual step process to if people want to, any audio person wants to, do the same thing, they can build it and you can put it in your car and take it anywhere as long as it's like in a decent space and whatnot. So I give all that stuff in the article.
It looks great too. Like, and you showed pictures in the presentation, and it looks like professionally made. Like, do you have any carpentry skills? Like, what the? It was like perfect.
So I don't, but I think I kind of take off after my father in this sense, because my dad is always like building stuff and doing like housework
stuff. Okay, cool.
And I have no training from him whatsoever. I just watched him, and then I worked at Lowe's in building materials, but I never built anything there ever when I was in high school.
But
I never
know
built
about
anything.
it though. See, so you have that expertise, like just besides the layman. Like, I saw like the brackets you had were like perfectly positioned and everything. I was like, oh, he knows.
Yeah, I winged it, to be honest with you. The prototype was really just setting up some old bookshelves around a friend and having him in a corner somewhere, and I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And I just kind of took my little bit of knowledge, whoever was working there, I was like, hey, I used to work here, but that was like 7 years ago, so I kind of forgot everything. Can you kind of help me out? And he was like, oh, just do this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, I guess it's going to work. And it did. So once I got it built, it didn't take that long, and it worked.
Great. Well, that's awesome. I want to talk a little bit more about that during your interview part, because again, there's some cool sounds you made, and I want you basically to rehash your presentation. It was perfect because it was about 13 minutes, 10 minutes. It was fantastic. And
I try to keep it under 10.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's the thing. That's the attention span. But it was good, and I want to get into that as you get in your interview. But now people know who you are. So yeah, cool. So we got the three of us here. You guys ready for some news?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's just get into it. So news a little light this week, not a lot going on, so we're going to kind of blaze through it. But a couple things to start off with. So let me pull a news document up. I just had it here. See? I didn't use the force, John.
Luke, put it away.
Okay, all right. So, right. Okay, so yeah, here we go. First news story we got here. Last week we talked about Fig and their second game that wasn't doing well, and it failed miserably. So, yeah, so that's just kind of, I know, Fig, we told you guys to call us. You didn't. Look what happens.
That'll teach you.
Seriously. But no, it's just kind of an interesting deal. Are you familiar with Fig, Chase?
I'm actually not familiar, but
yeah, it's a
briefly.
crowdfunding platform that allows people to invest and get equity into a game. The complete opposite of what crowdfunding is. Instead of a donation, you actually put in equity into an investment into whatever property they are doing. In this sense, it's games, video games, and you can get a return on your investment based on the number of sales or et cetera, whatever. And there's they vet you. There's an initial credit check process or background check, and minimum investments like $1,000, and depending on different tiers. It's based by the venture capitalist model, and so they choose their project. They only run one campaign at a time, and so they did their first one. It was $125,000. It actually ended up making $800,000, and it was successful. And then this one, they bumped it up, and they asked for $500,000, and they got 195. So they failed bad.
Yeah.
So the thing is with that too is it's all or nothing. So it's either they fund it or they don't. So I think they give the money back as well. But it's just
they probably didn't even take the money up for.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm saying that investment that you made is kind of no. It's like, okay, well, nope. So it's just kind of for their second. And again, this platform is pretty new. It's only a few months old, and for their second game to just take a flop like that, it's kind of oof, ouch.
Yeah, actually, this is interesting because Colin Moriarty, who used to be at IGN, who's now at Kind of Funny, was talking about how he hates supporting Kickstarter campaigns, and he just doesn't believe it. He was actually talking, it's like, if I could have something in return as far as some kind of equity thing, then I might be interested. And this is weird because here it is, and it's not doing so well. So I guess it depends on whatever product, I guess, is being marketed and offered. So I never thought that someone would actually take that idea and run with it. But I guess it depends. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, it's pretty good to know that exists out there. But I'm sorry that their campaign failed.
Yeah, it's an interesting deal. John, what did you think about that?
I mean, it's a couple of things. They probably need to rethink exactly how they're doing this. They need to run.
Who's they?
I'm not saying they don't
themselves?
need to run 1,000 campaigns at once, but I think they need to run at least a couple.
Are you talking about Fig themselves?
Yeah, to give some variety, because
right.
maybe no one just liked the idea of this particular game,
right?
And
then wait until the next IP, which I will talk about in a second. But
okay, but I mean that's and they may have to kind of retool technically how. I'm going to be interested to see how the game that got funded worked out. I don't remember how many people pledged to it, but I mean, if you put in $1,000 or whatever, and that makes you sort of part of this actual game, it's going to be interesting to see, how do you make, 200 payments when $30 comes in and you break it all down. So that's going to be interesting too, to see how that actually all shakes out.
Yeah. Percentages and how, again, sales percentages.
Exactly.
They had 100 investors at these different things, yet the game makes $200. It's like, you guys all want 54 cents? Like what?
Right.
Cool, sweet, there you go, yay. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I guess, Fig, the company itself is backed. They've got a lot going on. So Harmonix, there's an unannounced game, the makers of Rock Band. They were going to do a Fig Kickstarter or a Fig campaign. Now, I'm not sure if this is the next one, but this was announced back in April, when they talked about the platform. So, so again, take a listen for that, everybody, and listen to that. But it's just interesting, just how the whole Kickstarter thing is going for, especially indie games and everything getting funded, this and that, and stuff not coming out. It's just a weird deal, but that's kind of made it more of like, hey, we're putting in equity, we're getting some out of the game, guaranteed, this and that, and it's just kind of the idea is just not working so far. Again, it's only the second one, so it's just like, hey, don't kill it yet, but it's just kind of telling of like, hey, the crowdfunding model, people complain about it, the whole donation thing, but it's almost like the free-to-play model. Like, everyone hates it, but it works.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. So, all right, moving on to, we also talked, geez, I'm just like all these pullbacks to old news stories, just kind of follow-ups. But we talked, I think, a few weeks back about Star Citizen. Remember that, John? About the about the new the voice acting that they announced and the actors. Well, yeah. So Mark Hamill, he had a big in-depth talk, and he's one of the main characters now, and Star Citizen's getting gangsta. Seriously, it's coming with it. I mean, they got everybody on that thing. So there was an extended like interview with him, and now he's a main character on it, and they're doing like the typical Avatar like facial capturing of it, and so like he's like really into it. So yeah, it's. They're paying out the big bucks to get some big names, and I guess the article I read, one of them was like, "Hey, getting big names in sci-fi is like candy." So it's kind of funny. So, yeah, did you guys hear about that? Mark Hamill in it?
Yeah, I think we talked about it the last time we brought up the story.
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty cool. Mark Hamill, he was real chill about it. He's doing a million other things. Obviously, the next iteration of Star Wars is coming out, and now he's a Star Citizen, and so he's just keeping it real. And I guess they originally wanted him for like a kind of a jokey part, and he didn't really want it, but they kind of retooled it, not because he asked for it, just because of just the way the story was written. They retooled it, so he's now like a commander. So
okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. So Star Citizen is still a thing, I guess. Hey.
Yeah.
And this is for the campaign. You heard about the campaign, Chase?
Yeah, the ongoing campaign. I don't know when this game's gonna come out. I have two.
In 6 years.
Yeah, best friends have been talking about this game. 3 years ago? So
yeah.
It was like
they announced it and they did Kickstarter like a year and a half ago. Yeah, exactly. It's just like forever. But I mean, the size and scope of the game is unreal. It's going to take a lot. So
yeah, I bet. So. And they're hiring these guys, Gary Oldman and Gillian Anderson. I'm like, these are heavy hitters.
Yep. I mean, well, when you raise 80 or 85, 90 million dollars, you're gonna have some cash to throw around. So
yeah, but you better not run out that cash like Double Fine did.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, again, most of the big games cost, a decent amount, but the size and scope of this game is so intense that they better put some on the back end first for continuing support on it, because people are going to be like, oh, this is great, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be, hey, we need DLC, we need this. You're going to have like a continual networking team out there that's looking at things, and it's just, you're going to need a lot. You don't want to pull the whole Destiny thing, like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to invite, we need some support for our live team. Well, didn't you think about that when you had a full online game?
Right.
Yeah. So, but
the aftermath.
Yeah. So next, this one was kind of cool, I thought. Well, not cool, but interesting. Blizzard, yeah, they're caught in a legal fight with a game cheating company. So Bossland, which I've heard a lot about, the German-based company that does a lot of bots. So I think remember Ed talking about the whole bot farming thing in WoW, John? Yeah. So hey Ed, thanks for that info. Hey, now you can rest easy because they're fighting back. But the Blizzard trying to crack down on cheating. Did you guys read the article I sent to you guys? It was pretty interesting. They were trying to crack down in the sense of doing it, I guess, from the claims from Bossland, the company in Germany. I'm not going to throw Blizzard under the bus. I'm not going to take sides on this, but their claims were that Blizzard approached one of their freelance coders and kind of did a shady back end deal. It's like, hey, we're going to offer you some money. You give us the code to that. Even though the freelance didn't work for the company, he was just hired for some work on the side, and he handed it over, and so now they own the code, and so now Bossland's like, he didn't own that, and so they did some back channel stuff like on freaking House of Cards status.
Yeah. Bogus.
I was like, wow, those are the claims. But yeah, the CEO of Bossland just called out Blizzard straight up. It's like, that's shady. And I was like, ooh, man, I don't. But again, it's like this is the kind of stuff that happens in every big business, like the industry, like every conspiracy theory that you can think of, like happens, and it does, especially when that much money's on the line. Like,
oh, exactly.
Yeah,
you got a big, Mongol like Blizzard who's been around for like years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty much dominating, the PC side of like gaming and things like that, and having their own cons. It's crazy.
Oh, I guarantee they have their own like CIA operatives type status people on the
CIA ops.
Yeah, they're like, hey, can you do some research on those guys? And they send them out like their little hit squad team. Like,
I would love to see an indie game like that.
They can track down their IPs and knock on people's doors and stuff. Oh
yeah, they're like their undercover team. Like they're driving around like Blizzard cars. Like, hey, excuse me.
I would love to see an indie game that incorporates all of that. Like, Blizzard Ops.
Yeah, perfect. Blizzard Ops 3
with Grand Theft Auto, like first PS1 Grand Theft Auto things, and also like the like CIA, like little. Oh my gosh, I could see it now.
Someone out there Chase, make that. What would the music sound like? Ready, go.
Yeah.
Exactly. Excuse me. This is the Blizzard Police. Do you have authorization to use that code?
Or that music?
Or that music. Yeah, you're fine.
I'm sorry, that's proprietary software you have, son. You're going to have to turn that back over.
We're going to ban your account for 6 months, but you can write into us and we'll unban it in 2 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. I guess they're fighting it, and again, they're going to be in a long legal battle. I guess Blizzard came back and said, hey, we've won multiple court cases against this company in Germany. They're based in Germany, so they have an international legal team that fights them. And they've won a lot of cases because I guess this company, I mean, the article I read it's from Kotaku, and they were like, hey, it's hard to have sympathy for a company that basically makes cheating software.
Right.
But, I mean, because, they do bots that farm gold. They do bots in Diablo. They do bots in StarCraft. They do bots in a bunch of things that people can use to kind of, I guess, exploit the game. But if that's how you want to play it, that's how you want to play it. But I guess the whole point of it is, like, it's making the economy not run right and kind of damaging other players. So your play is dictating how the people are playing the game, and that's what they don't want. And I get it on both sides. It's like, hey, we're doing this. It's like, if people want to use it, they can use it. They don't have to, but at the same time, it's like, hey, Blizzard, we made this property, and I guess they're going to go down fighting because WoW is pretty much done. They got that new expansion coming out, but it's about it. 12 years.
I think this is all just a timely news article to get more people playing Blizzard stuff.
Yeah, why not? Well, I mean, they got Like, actually, that's a good segue. I think I'll jump ahead then. Sweet. Good job, John. Look at that. So, we're going to jump ahead to a news story. It's a little later, but why not? So, speaking of Blizzard, this is kind of an interesting deal. And I was talking to Vilas Tawari, who was on episode 3 about this the other day. And it's about Blizzard's kind of changing its kind of direction. And as you guys know, like, I'm the business side of games, but I'm not like a suit. I do the business development, try to help these indie devs kind of set their business up, market their games, get it out there, find their messaging and branding. And so when I read these business articles in the gaming industry, it's pretty interesting to hear the takes on it, and it's really telling of Blizzard's understanding of the landscape. And now, like, this article that I was reading and a couple other ones that I followed up on it because I started digging deeper, kind of talked about how Blizzard's always been a Warcraft, StarCraft, and sometimes Diablo company, right? That's what Blizzard is, right? Well, the author of the first article I read was talking about BlizzCon, and BlizzCon just happened a couple weeks back. But he was talking about how he went a couple years ago, and people were, when they announced some WoW things, everyone was like, "Yay, cool!" And they announced, something else, like the new expansion. They're like, okay, yeah. And then StarCraft this year, yay, StarCraft, I like it, sweet. Well, they came and they announced a new card for Hearthstone that was an instant card that like kind of nullified all spells on the board. It's like a brand new card, and people went nuts. They just lost their mind. Like, just cheering. The place erupted over a card in Hearthstone. So it's just showing that now Blizzard is turning away from that to Hearthstone, to Heroes of the Storm, and to the new game Overwatch that's coming out soon. That's their new thing, and they're kind of leaving those other 3 properties behind. Like, it was a great run from them, and like from my standpoint, from doing the whole marketing and branding, I think it's very, very smart because
Yeah.
If you think about it, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and Overwatch, what is the fiber that unifies all three of those games?
It's all like competitive gaming, right?
Esports, exactly. Esports. Yeah. And if you guys know, recently Blizzard hired one of the ESPN guys to run their new esports division, like an ESPN exec. So they're not messing around.
Wow, that's genius.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And so they're really making some headroom, some weight on this, because Hearthstone's one of the biggest things there ever is out there right now for esports. People are just going crazy for it. Overwatch seems like to be a great game. It's gonna be really fun, but it's just their whole marketing push. They're leaving the '90s PC type behind, and they're moving forward. And the whole nostalgia thing. Like even StarCraft 2, I was pumped up for StarCraft 2, but I'm gonna play it for a little while, and then it's done. It's like, okay, that was StarCraft. That was great. It's just it's an interesting deal. I don't know if you guys have what's your guys' take on that, because you guys Blizzard fans.
It's good on them to just they see the times, and nothing lasts forever, and they're seeing where to they'll be able to write out this competitive gaming for the next 10, 12, 15 years like they did with the online play. So that's just that's what they got to do if they want to stay around and relevant.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the creative directors of the Soul series is actually doing the same thing, and he's just like, I think it's healthy to kind of we have a good series, with Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, but we're going to change our direction, and go and try to do something new to kind of keep the creative juices going and fresh. I mean, they don't have nearly as long as a legacy as Blizzard, but sometimes that's necessary to, keep the team and the morale up of some sort, and Blizzard is in a really, really, really good standing ground right now.
Oh yeah,
they have the market, and they're getting into like a new, bigger, lucrative market with esports and everything, and they can do it. I know that they can.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone you talk to is playing MOBAs and things like that.
For sure.
And it's smart for them too, while they still have all of their fan base and user base, to shift them over to where they're going, because you don't want to wait until it's too late. Everyone stops playing WoW, everyone stops playing StarCraft, and then you have no more fans to move over to where you're going, So
exactly.
Now's the time for them, while they still have, all those people playing their stuff, to move them over in the new direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it'll be good to see over the future. I mean, anything new it's refreshing. As long as it's from a good direction, and they're making new IP, which is awesome. So I mean, I like that. I'm all about that. When you're at Warcraft 17 and StarCraft 29 and Diablo 44, it's like, okay, sweet. I like those games; they're great, but it's like, give me something new. Give me something to change the game. And they are this new Overwatch. I'm really intrigued to see how it works. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I think it'll be good.
I do. I've seen a lot of gameplay. I had some friends play it. It's got a good paper rock scissors dynamic, and it's very competitive. So, and it takes a new spin on the whole first person shooter MOBA type. It's different. So it'll be cool. But there you go. Well, hey, we're gonna see, John. You're perfect at all these segues, man. You kind of set me up. I'm liking it.
It's
now.
the force.
It is.
Force.
It's the force. So we're gonna go right into another esports talk, and I brought this up last week about Mark Cuban talking about League of Legends, and he wanted to play.
Oh yeah.
Well, he did end up playing, and it's kind of funny because I think I mentioned a couple things a long time ago when I was talking to somebody about Colin Cowherd and being dumb when it comes to esports, and he had that rant where he said if ESPN would ever make him cover esports, he would quit and everything because it's not a sport and there's a bunch of nerds and all this stuff. I think John and you and I talked about that.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. And then yet, Colin, have you ever played football or anything sport in your life? No, be quiet. You're a sports nerd, okay? You look at stats all day and talk about things. So you're the same exact thing. So shut up, really.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
The Mark Cuban was asked about his comments, and he's like, "Oh, Colin Cowherd's an idiot when it comes to esports." He says, and then Mark Cuban says, "League of Legends is a real sport. This is the real deal." And he was pumped about it. And then he was like, he never played it before, and he said, I quote, well, I'm going to paraphrase a couple parts, but Cuban said, "I played 3 games. I picked it up pretty easy because I'm effing smart." But he didn't say effing. The interviewee she said, "Oh, do you know that there's a policy here that you've been fined $15,000 for using the F-bomb, but it's okay because it's going to that charity that we talked about, the anti-cyberbullying." And then when he responded, he goes, let's double up. F it. So he gave 30,000 just by dropping 2 F-bombs. I loved it. Oh, that was great. So thanks, Mark, for that laugh. I was like, perfect. That's what we need.
Yeah,
For sure.
good old Mark Cuban and his theatrics.
Yeah, his antics. I mean, the thing is, John and I talked about it too. It's like, dude, he's like drooling right now. He's like, what? I mean, he's a little, I guess he's not late in the game. Esports is right in the cusp. Like, he is going to get in this. He's going to invest in it. He's going to make so much money. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. That's why I was telling Ted. That's probably why he wanted to jump in and play the game and experience it, because he's just like, his brain's probably running 1,000 miles a minute now, and all it's going to take is, now that he understands the mechanics of how all this works, now it's going to take is for some techie guy to approach him and be like, hey, I've got this idea. And when he explains his idea to him, Cuban's going to be like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's do it.
Not even that. He's just going to jump in somehow to the currently going esports stuff. He's going to like invest in it. He's like, oh, Blizzard, you guys looking to run a round of, of investment stuff? Oh, sure. I'm putting in, here's $100 million. Boom.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's going to get in and, oh, man. Like, he's going to probably run his own tournaments, but with a prize pool of like $10 million in there, and just all this stuff and that advertising and marketing. His brain is going. So I thought it was cool. So a little bit lighter note. So we're in the holiday season now. Yeah, we're getting there. This is kind of a random. I thought it was pretty funny. I just got the whole. I'll talk about it in a second. So there was a story about the 80s and 90s Christmas parties at Nintendo being just absolutely nuts. So they were going about old. Do you remember, John, the days where you had to call in to get game tips for Nintendo?
Oh yeah.
You remember those days? I used to do that. Again, a lot of our younger listeners, they can just have it at their phone, just boom, 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 get a little whole guide, have all the codes right there. But no, you had to call in. And
866.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. And so they were interviewing a lot of the old ex-Nintendo employees who were over here on the American side about how it was working for Nintendo back in the day. And a couple of them were telling how crazy it was back in the day. It was just nuts. Like, I just kept thinking, I was reading the article, it's like Wolf of Wall Street. Like hookers and like cocaine everywhere. Like, yeah, it was just like, I was laughing. Like, I was just like, oh, it must have been like that. Because, the 80s and 90s were a crazy time, especially the amount of money coming out of Nintendo. Oh, man, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the authors was talking about he's only like 17 or 18, and all the employees thought it was funny to give him all their drink tickets. So he was like wasted at like 17 years old, stumbling into taxis and stuff, like just craziness. Like every person had an individual limo. Like, it was just nuts. I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's off. If only that still went on, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well,
did you ever get those Nintendo they weren't playing cards, they were like kind of like garbage pail kids? Do you remember seeing those?
I don't.
I do.
Yeah, they had like these Nintendo kind of garbage pail kid, like, baseball card, I guess you would say, or whatever. They had those, and I had a bunch of those at one point too. And they had like, little tips and tricks on the back of all the cards for different games.
Oh, I think I might have had something like that, a little trading card type stuff. Yeah, I had Nintendo magazine and Power. I subscribed to that for sure. Power. I used to always grab one of those.
Did you ever eat the Nintendo Power cereal?
I did not. That would have been great. Okay. I'm sure.
I'm on eBay right now looking for that. I don't care how old it is.
Exactly. It's in the box. Like, yeah, the expiration.
It was kind of like I don't know what I would compare it to. Maybe sort of like Captain Crunch, kind of.
Oh, man. Where's my money?
Yep, exactly. Right now, order me a box too, but I'll throw down. It's like...
You'll eat the whole box, man. You love food.
Yeah, exactly. There'd be nothing. Ted's probably got a bowl in his house that's big enough to fit any box of cereal in one bowl,
Hey, I used to do that. I used to pour a whole box of cereal in a giant mixing bowl and take this dude's serving spoon and put a gallon of milk in there and just eat it.
And then watch your brother and then eat it slowly. And he's like, hey, man, where's all the cereal? And you're just like, and you're just spilling cereal on the floor and he's just mad.
Yep. Well, still, hey, get some of that cereal, okay, man? I want some. I don't care how old it is.
I got you. Nevertheless.
Cool. It's like expiration date, like 1991.
Yeah, exactly. 1989 or something.
You open the box. Yeah, you open the box.
Exactly.
Like the little things. They're talking to you. They're like, they have so much mold on them. They're sentient. They're like, hello. Oh man,
Mario pops out the box. It's me, Mario. How you like the cereal?
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think Link was in it too. Link, Mario. There's a couple characters.
If they made a cereal that actually did that, I would probably buy it just because that'd be pretty
Pop
cool.
out Mario the cereal.
Yeah, like I would buy it just to have Mario pop out and scare the crap out of me. That would be kind of cool.
This cereal's awesome.
Yeah, or any other character like a Wheaties box have Michael Jordan pop out like, "Hey, what's up, man? You want to play?" Like, whoa, yeah, yeah. I mean, shoot, maybe in the future we'll have like AR type stuff. Put on the glasses and like a little guy pops out of the box. Hey, there you go. All right, this is getting weird. Right, I know it's always weird. Okay, so the last story we're going to cover on this is kind of, I guess let's talk about it. Everyone's talking about it. I kind of want to hear your guys' takes first, but it's the article written by Kotaku, kind of firing shots fired, called "The Price of Games Journalism." I think I sent it to you guys to look at.
Yeah.
It's been flying around the internet.
Oh yeah,
everyone's been going crazy about it. What did you guys think? I want to hear kind of what you guys.
I kind of see both sides. Like,
Yeah.
The first thing, like, part of me is like, well, Kotaku kind of did some stuff that's like not cool. Like, it's not that they went out of their way, but they would release like, oh, check out these screenshots. They're going to be working on Fallout 4. And it's like, look, man, these guys, it takes years for these guys to put things together. Now you let their competition know they're working on Fallout 4, so maybe that made that someone else put their gears into their gears in place to start going, and so it can kind of sort of mess up a company a little bit when you do stuff like that. So part of me is like, it's not cool if you do that, but then the other part of me is like, well, they're journalists and they want to get 1 million hits on their page, and that's what it takes. So. I kind of see both sides. I don't really know if I side with either side, but I kind of see both their points.
Yeah, I agree with John. Like, embargoes are to be taken seriously, and I mean, if you're not respecting, the craft and the agreements that you have behind that, then I mean, what surprises does that lead to for other things? And you're messing up other people's like marketing plans and things that take time and cost money too as well. It's not good. I mean, just respect those agreements to your fullest and whatnot. I mean, at the same time, I mean, Kotaku has a job to do as well, but things get blown out of proportion. I notice, like, in the video game industry sometimes, and
people are sensitive.
Yeah, they're trying to make it like, if there's nothing going on, they try to like make stuff up. And
right.
Look at NFL, like all these like
and
Deflategate and Bountygate and Gate.
And Camera Gate, or whatever that was called.
Yeah, Spygate.
Spygate. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they both have a responsibility to play. Where is the balance lie for who to blame? It's not really my call to say, but if like I said, agreements are agreements. Just respect those agreements, and if there's nothing there, then sorry, there's like nothing there. Don't try to like poke around and do other things and ruin relationships, because that's only going to hurt yourself in the end.
Yeah,
it was Bethesda, right?
Yeah, it was Bethesda and Ubisoft, and
I mean, with Bethesda, I would do exactly what they did. I would blacklist Kotaku too. Like, whatever, you guys want to be d-bags. We have plenty of other people that want to write about our stuff and respect, what we request of you. So we'll cut you out. We don't care.
Yeah,
right. And that's my thing too. It's like initially, it seems like to me you guys are kind of not siding, but kind of leaning towards the publisher side, and for me, like, I found myself doing that instantly as well. But what I didn't like about the publisher side of it was how they blacklisted them. Like, it's okay to blacklist them. Don't send them copies of the game. Don't send this. But they totally didn't return calls, didn't return emails, and ignored them at stuff. I would politely say, hey, no, you've been blacklisted because of this. Do that, like, and not be petty about it. I definitely I find myself leaning towards the publisher side, though. It's like, the talker was like, well, I think actually I was listening to the Giant Beastcast, and Alex Navarro was like, you know what? Who cares if we F up their marketing campaign? Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, that's someone else's livelihood. So
exactly,
you're a games, because Alex is a games journalist. Well, you're a games journalist, and that's your livelihood. So why would you mess up somebody else's marketing plan who's worked for 6-8 months on it and then have to ruin it?
Right.
So they've been working like 10, 12-hour days, just like you have, like getting something ready, and then like you just blow it out of the water. Like, you just waste their time. They've not spending time with their family. And he was like kind of a little bit callous towards it. And I kind of thought that was a not a good point of view to look on it. But I see both sides. Like, and then Kotaku, because they're excellent journalists. They do a great job. And again, they make the decision about what comes across their desk, what to do and what not to do. And so, like, if something comes across their desk and they don't go out and try to find the bad scoop, and someone's like, hey, here this is, they have a decision to either to publish it or not and weigh the options. And again, at the same time, it's like, hey, if Bethesda, you had a leak, if someone leaked some stuff out and it came across Kotaku's desk, I mean, they have a right to publish it, because it's just, people want to know that stuff and they like to break the story first, and that's journalism. You know, that's what it is. If this was like a newspaper, like, that would be like the first story out, right? But then it's kind of leaned between like the journalism side of it, like news, and like reviews. So like those are two different things, right? So it's like, do you want to get like copies of games out so you can review them, and so you have good relationship with publishers and that kind of stuff, or do you want to report the news? It's like, which one? And that interplay is very difficult. And so I find myself leaning towards publisher, but then I see, okay, if you've been blacklisted, talk about it, tell about it, what's going on, like, just be cordial. And I don't know, it seems really petty, but that's every industry. Like, when you go to work, it's like high school. Every single job.
Exactly.
It's everyone hangs in circles. There's cliques, and there's people who don't like this, and it's backstabbing, and it's like Mean Girls, the movie. You know, like so there's little slap fights in the hallway.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe they were warned. Maybe, I mean, we don't really know. Like,
I mean, with Kotaku writing the article, it's obviously a one-sided sort of thing. So who knows? You know what things Bethesda did on their side. Also, you know, that maybe they did do some stuff or try to reach out, but you know, maybe this could be possibly like some sort of maybe like a hit piece on
not
Bethesda.
Not only that is, if Kotaku is guilty of dropping these stories for clickbait, right? Because that's what they want, right? What do you think? What do you think writing this story is? You know what I mean?
It's not making it better.
No, they want that. That's what they're looking for. So if you go even from the publisher side even more, it's like, okay, now you're calling us out. Now shots are fired. Now you're airing out dirty laundry. If you want some relationship repaired, you've definitely burned some bridges, and now you're going to get some clickbait because that story is burning up the internet. So you're getting what you want, but at the expense of what?
Exactly.
You know, like I mean, Ubisoft and Bethesda, they're heavy hitters. Oh yeah. So you can't look at any news feed in video games and not see 6 or 7 articles about Fallout right now, or 4 or 5 about some Ubisoft game. It's just, you don't want to burn bridges. Like, it's just, you're putting that out there. You're airing dirty laundry, and it's not good. But at the same time, Kotaku is very good about getting stories out, They have great pieces. They have great writers, and now this is, I mean, the gentleman who wrote this, he's good. He does well in the field, and he just put it out there like this, like boom, right out. He just aired it out there, and so I don't know. Like, we'll see what the tables show here soon, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I just felt we need to talk about that, because again, everyone's talking about it, and like I said, like, we all have interesting takes. It seems like we're kind of all on the same, you know, wavelength on it. That's interesting, but I wonder how the perspectives change, like, within different industries. Like, again, like listening to the other podcast about how they are more on the game journalist side, they were totally like bashing Bethesda and Ubisoft, but and then having someone maybe on the publisher side being like, yeah, that's such a ridiculous thing. Like, totally, you know, I think we're more balanced, but yeah. Well, cool. Well, I think that's it for news, guys. You got anything else?
No, nothing on my end.
Sweet. Well, Chase.
Yes.
We are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into your interview and find out what you do and like some details, and let you just brag about yourself forever. So how does that sound?
Until my hard drive fills up.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're gonna have to stop, but that's cool. So yeah, we're gonna take a break, and we'll come back with the interview. Welcome back, everybody. How was the break, guys?
Awesome.
Well deserved.
Yeah, I got I just ordered a pizza, ate the whole thing. It was good.
Oh man, you starting early.
Hey, got to.
Kotaku just put up an article about us bad mouthing them.
Oh man, are we blacklisted?
Yeah.
Oh man, so they're not going to send us their early copies of their articles. They send them out.
Nope,
Bummer,
that's it.
Bummer. Well, I guess I have to air it out and write a set piece on it. So Chase, hey, this is Chase Bethea, game composer, sound designer, audio engineer for video games, and game composer. Did I say game designer?
No, you said game composer.
Oh, sweet, good. We're going to get an interview and to kind of learn a little bit more about you, what you do, some projects you're working on, and we have our resident journalist who is not going to air our dirty laundry here on staff, Jonathan Nadeau, and he's going to hit you with the questions, and I'm going to let him go. Take it away, John.
Hey, Chase, thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So I like to add, the first question is always, what got you into this industry, this realm, audio engineering for video games? Like, was it a game you were playing when you were a kid? Was it what brought you to that moment where you're like, oh yeah, I want to be doing this as a job, or in some way or fashion in my life, I want to be doing this?
Well, it's to answer. I'll give you the answer, and then I'm going to go backwards.
I think I know. I think I know what you're going to say because it's actually cool.
Okay. The moment that I realized that I wanted to do the video game career was when I was working at this internet media company, and they put me into composing from doing live sound, and I was doing like a little bit of video clips and other things, but I had a distinctive sound of like it always sounding like a video game. Like I don't have like a film sound at all. Like I can't really convey. I can write to picture and whatnot, but it's always going to come through as video, like a video game. So when I realized, like, I did like some kind of like little bitty score or something. One of my friends, Jason Dobbins, at the time was the IT guy, and he was like, like it sounds like it goes to Castle Crashers. Have you heard of that? I'm like, no. So I checked that out, and I'm like, man, that's actually pretty cool. Like, I think I could write like that, but I actually have been playing like games since I was like 7 years old. My first thing was a Game Boy, and I had Final Fantasy Legend 2. And
Sweet.
I used to go into the sound tests and just listen to Nobuo Uematsu and Kenji Ito's like music on the Game Boy all the time.
Yep,
man.
I have that radio on my Pandora queued up all the time.
Yeah, that's what I learned through, and always just like listening to video game music, and then Pokemon, and then Final Fantasy 7, and so on and so forth. So I was doing hip hop for about 7 years in R&B, and I remember the first beat I made, I showed someone, and it was like, it sounds like it should be in a video game, and I could never ever get that sound out, and people my audience wasn't like, some people liked it, but I wasn't really grabbing like the audience of this out because it wasn't cool, I was a nerd, and so on. And so I was like trying to craft that like into my music, and I used like video game sample MIDI and different like sounds I've sampled from the games and put it in there, and used to like rap over it. I think cool. Before Megaran actually did it, and I just wasn't feeling it in that way anymore. And I was like, you know what? I don't think this is working. When I had the Castle Crashers epiphany, I was like, why don't you just see if there's a way that you can get your music into games? And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to do that. And my first game that I got, like, it worked. I didn't have to do like manipulate anything before I even finished school.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I should have saw the sign early when the girl told me that it should sound like it would be in a video game, because I would have saved so much time. But I was looking at games like God of War and everything, and I was like, I can't write stuff like that. But I was still like rapping over Sonic Adventure 1 music and flipping that and doing all this other stuff and creating like came up with the rap name Scorpion, and because I'm an actual Scorpio and the 8th sign of the Zodiac, and I'm actually born on November 8th, and I was like, I took that persona on from Mortal Kombat, and I was just embracing it, but I was embracing it in slightly the wrong way, and now I feel like I'm at home. So that's my background there.
That's so funny. The first song you play for someone like, sounds like it should be in a video game. Like, it's so funny. Like when you're thinking you're going in one direction, and then
life,
you have these ideas in your own head, but then when you present it to other people, they see it from a totally different angle.
Yes.
And then it takes you back. You're kind of like, whoa, yeah, you're kind of right. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that's really cool, and that's also cool that your first video game system was a Game Boy.
Yes, it was a Game
No
Boy,
kidding.
and then it was an N64, and then I used my dad's PlayStation and was doing sound tests on those when I found out by accident it was a CD player and Tomb Raider like started playing. I was like, the game doesn't work, and then it was like Nathan McCree's like theme for Tomb Raider playing, and I was like, oh man, like I don't have to play the game and listen to the music. I was pumped about that.
Oh, dude, you are a total music game nerd.
Yeah.
Like,
That's funny.
It's funny to hear you saying you'd go into the sound test to hear him. Like, I'm like when I heard listen to you saying that, I'm like, I never. It's funny to picture someone doing that. Like, you wouldn't think someone would kick back and be like, yeah, let's listen to the sound test. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm all about that. I love the happy accidents of it all, and those are the great memories that I have for that nostalgia and everything. So yeah, I am a big video game nerd.
That's awesome. What now? With kind of back to your style. It's kind of funny how you said that. You don't even try, but your sound just comes out sort of video gamey. Like, is there a particular are there particular like sounds or like particular like do you have a set way like you start putting your music together? Like, do you lay down the drum tracks first and then maybe put some melody over it, or do you think of melodies first and then lay down the drum tracks? Like, how do you kind of approach music when you start thinking of writing up a new piece?
Well, it's usually if I'm on a project, I usually kind of go by the art if I can. I'm not very creative and imaginative with just game design documents. It depends like how well I can read into it and how much I hear it, but I'm better with short descriptions rather than reading like pages of a document. If you tell me like these are my influences, I like this and I like that, I said, okay, I will combine this and that in my mind. I'll dig into it, I'll learn about it, and then I'll pick out what I like from it and that I want to like use or recycle and start. Either I'll come up with like a melody of some sort or I'll come up with like a rhythm track. It just depends on the project and it depends on like how excited I am about it. Sometimes I just hum things and when I have them, I hum them immediately into my phone.
Oh yeah,
because
into like the voice memo type deal.
Yes, that is loaded on my other phone. Like I have almost 30 things I haven't even used yet that I'm planning on using probably for future projects.
My friend, she's a writer. She does music writing for like big time, artists and stuff like that. And she has her phone full. She'll sing a melody into like her phone. She's a singer too, and like so she just writes music for her studio and gets it out to like Pitbull and J-Lo and all this stuff. And she'll just like sing it and like, oh, okay, I'm back. I'm like, all right, thanks.
Yeah, that's usually how I kind of approach it. It depends like what's moving me. When I was attending Moorpark College, my professor Dr. Bowen had told me, he's like, you have a hip hop background and you should embrace that. Like you seem sort of ashamed at the time, about it. And it's like, because you're really good with rhythms. And that's funny because I'm not dictating it well. So I could that got better over the years as I practiced more, but I try to like put that down where I can and find the nooks and crannies between, because my influences from producers back then were Timbaland and Pharrell, and really admire their rhythm like foundations that they have, and I try to like put that in there and also incorporate my classical training that I've received from Moorpark College and put that together to create some of the things that I've created. That's
really cool. Ted mentioned earlier at the beginning about someone wrote up a really great review on like the music of the game. What was that game that you were working with that you did all the sound for?
The game was called I Can't Escape Darkness, and the part of the review quotes, I know that Ted had requested this, so I found it actually. It said that the sound design is even better, consisting of uncomfortable silence broken up by footsteps and slithers. The sound is probably the scariest part of the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So take it back. Cool. So take it back. So sorry to interrupt, John.
No problem.
So people just listen to the interview part. What did you do to do the sound? Because we're talking about your composing. We'll get into the composing, like music tracks, but this was separate. So you created your own Foley box, right?
Yeah, I created a mini Foley stage, and the reason I did it is because I was talking to the developer, and he was saying that he was probably going to use like some free sounds, from a couple, websites that everybody,
No, don't do that.
Freesound.org.
yeah, that, or there's other ones out there and stuff like that. They pay like a couple bucks too or whatnot, but it wasn't going to have an identity. It wasn't going to have any character. I asked him, how is this going to stand out, from Soma or from Amnesia or Five Nights at Freddy's? What was going to be the identity that people are paying their money for to have an experience with? And so I decided that there was also like a limit on my end with like sound libraries that my audio peers use, from different sound libraries out there and other things that I couldn't get. Like I couldn't find an ancient ruined door the way that it's depicted to me in the game. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to create this. Cool. Like that's going to bring, some really fresh approach and creative ideas to this entire project. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own footsteps. I'm going to create my own blob sounds. I'm going to create my own stepping on veins, like squishy type of experiences. And hopefully people, will like it. And I just went crazy and did all of that, to create the atmosphere for I Can't Escape Darkness.
That's really cool. What types of things did you use to make those sounds? Like let the listeners know some of the. I think you mentioned maybe before the interview how you use like wet towels and like stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
I wish you could play some samples. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I was thinking I could play some examples. I'll do a brief description. So I have. So there's a blob in the game, and the blob is like wet. There are a couple different blobs, like a vine blob and an actual like another blob. And so these things are like really disgusting. They stink, they hit you, they poison you. And I was like, okay, this has to be like grotesque. So what I did was I took some wet towels. I just went outside, hosed them down, put them in this little like storage bin, and then to hold them there. And then I put them on concrete blocks because in the game you're in a cave and you're walking on stone. So I bought the concrete blocks from Home Depot. I put them on there and I just start pounding on them, and I hit them with hammers and I hit them with my fists, and I stepped on them and get as much iterations and files as I could recorded. And then to add on to it, like I did earlier, I just used my mouth for like little like just slushy type of like nasty nuances, for that, and I layered it. And
okay,
you'll hear what it sounds like. So that was one of the things that I did. And then for a pickaxe, I was shopping around the neighborhood. It was like, I think, garage sale day or something. And I found, it wasn't really anything good. I was really looking for games. But I found a metal bat. I found a metal bat this little girl had a metal bat. And I was like, and I hit it and it said, ding. And you'll hear that. And I was like, cool. Ooh. I was like, okay, I want that, and I can use that as the pickaxe and layer that. So I used a hammer and I used the actual metal bat to hit with, that to make the pickaxe sound. And then some things I used literally, like I found actually there's a flashlight in the game, and it's a specific color. It's like black and yellow, and I found an actual black and yellow flashlight from the Dollar Tree. And I was like, perfect. This is the I Can't Escape flashlight in my hand. I didn't have to get a 3D model of this or anything. Like it's physically here. So I used the actual click buttons before that actual flashlight.
That's funny.
In real life. And like I bought some boots, and I used like the boots, to walk on the concrete. I used leaves and plastic bags for the vines, excuse me. And for the veins, I used the same mechanism, but I actually wet some plastic bags and layered it on top of the wet towels to give that more of a solid foundation, and a couple other things as well.
That's cool. That must have been fun doing that.
Yeah, it was. It's a lot of work, but it's actually really fun, and I recorded some of my sessions on my phone and things like that. So maybe you guys, if you want to check them out, I'd send them to you. You can see.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll put links in the show notes and everything if you have them up.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Was there any particular game, and I think you sort of said it, I think, but is there any like game that inspires you for its sounds? Was it, Final Fantasy, or is there something later in life that you came across, you're like, man, this has got some awesome sound effects in it?
That's a good question. I do. I remember Final Fantasy VII having some really, really cool sounds when I actually had to do one of the projects I'm on. I have to kind of create. It's not necessarily that similar, but the sound design aspect of it is really, really interesting for when they're powering up and doing other things. Now, like I guess since I work in the industry only the past like 2 years, I listen to the sound and I'm inspired by a couple things. I remember like when I was doing I Can't Escape Darkness, I was listening to The Evil Within. I played a lot of Tomb Raider. I played a little bit of Dead Space. And so I try to match whatever project that I'm on and then get inspired by what I think will fit. And then, like I said, I soak it all up like a sponge, and then I diversify it into what my interpretation, would be to create the identity for that. So I draw a lot of experiences. I play like almost like 5 or 6, 7 games or whatever. Some I finish, some I get just enough from, and maybe I watch a Let's Play or something like that.
For sure.
That's cool. Do you play any instruments, or do you do all just electronic stuff?
Yeah, I play piano, but my first instrument was alto saxophone when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I haven't actually used that yet for some things, but I have a couple ideas that I'm probably going to get into later on to use that for some sound design techniques and maybe some musical stuff too. But I've been getting classic piano lessons for the past like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
recently, you mean?
Yeah, musically on the piano.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I have a jazz ear because I'm from Chicago, and
nice.
I was born and raised, and so I grew up listening to like bossa nova jazz and 50s jazz and smooth jazz like Nige, Kenny G, things like that. Brazilian Masters, George Duke, and like through that melted into like Janet Jackson. I heard like jazz chords, even though it's like rhythm and blues.
Right, yeah.
But I was like, oh my gosh, like, with Thriller from Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson and Alexander and Sherelle, and just like I'm influenced by all of that stuff too from my early childhood, and that kind of comes through in my music as well. So I don't know jazz theory yet, but I just play like jazz chords because I know I just play what sounds good, and I'm like, I like it, I'm gonna do it. And so my harmonies and some people that interpret it are like, that's weird. I wouldn't have done that, but they like it. And I'm like, good.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what? Sometimes it helps not knowing like all kinds of insane music theory because you're like, well, it doesn't look right on paper, so I'm not going to play it.
Yeah. And I found that when I was doing my early studies in classical, and I was like limited by all these rules, and I was trying to learn these things, and I was like, this is limiting my creativity. And again, like, my professor, Dr. Bowen, told me, he's like, you have to sometimes learn these rules first so that you know when to break them. And then he's like, I would just
that's everything, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, I would just let your creativity go and analyze it afterwards. And it's like, the analyzation will come during the theory and you'll be able to put the two together. And it did. It did come.
Cool. I think
that's really cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask a question here. So you mentioned Final Fantasy VII and all those. I mean, I love that game, one of my favorites of all time. What other game soundtracks do you think are like the best? Like what soundtracks, like current, old, like that are just that kind of like touch you, or like, oh, these are fantastic. They're gonna hit home well.
Yeah, so Sonic Adventure 1 has a great soundtrack. Crusader of Senti on the Sega Genesis, Beyond Oasis. Oh my gosh. Yuzo Koshiro, like, my goodness, like, I love that soundtrack. Sonic 2, Sega Genesis. What else? I mean, I have like Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, Kootani.
So good.
Kudos. Like, these are, I mean, the Batman Arkham City soundtrack is great. You know, you have Icewind. I love a new game soundtrack called Nier, and that's actually like one of my top favorites as well. Dragon Quest 8.
Oh yeah.
There's so many. Like, I have like a list that I go through like constantly.
I'm a big fan of video game music too. I like on Pandora I have a video game music channel. I even have like an app that you can download all the video game soundtracks like from PS2 and before. So I have a bunch of like, you know, things to me like obviously the Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3 soundtracks are just off the chain, you know. I mean even stuff like I think one of our one of our closeout segments, the answer was Kirby, but like Kirby's Adventure, like that soundtrack is awesome. Like for like a game came out so long ago, it's so detailed, so many different songs, so composed, so many different layers. I mean, just stuff like that, just all the way up through. Like there's game, even stuff like Skyrim's music, just like the world music in Skyrim. It's just so like calming yet mysterious, yet it's smooth. The transitions, like different places. It's just when you hear that music, you're like, oh, yep, I know where I'm at. Like you just feel it instantly. And so, yeah, game soundtracks, like to me, that's why I asked that question, because like I really, really, really enjoy the sounds of games. Like I always have. Like I've never been one to like, hey, like, oh, let me just play the game through and turn the sound off. No, I look at everything and I listen to everything. So I'm sure there were soundtracks you'd like. So,
oh yeah, like Chrono Trigger. And
oh yeah,
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Like I. Just like all over the place. Final Fantasy Legend 2, like I said. Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 2. I actually love that soundtrack. I was actually influenced by the game that I did, and it was pretty cool. And I
don't know that one.
It's pretty cool. So it's just you're puzzling around to avoid the other Looney Tunes like Tweety Bird or Sylvester or Daffy Duck, and you're just collecting keys and just going through this castle that I don't want to say it's Lola, but it is another female bunny that got captured by one of the witch from Looney Tunes. And you're just collecting keys through each level and trying to avoid the other Looney Tunes, because if you touch them once, you die. And so you get you collect 8 keys in a level, and then they're all in like doors. But to maneuver around, you go up ladders and pipes and whatever to avoid the things. And then you can hit them with like items, like set a bomb or throw a ton thing on them, but you only kick it. So you can't jump. You can only just move up and down. And then like A and B is kind of like to activate a bomb or to just activate to go through a pipe. And what was cool is like every level has a password. So you're going to leave the game with like like 50 passwords or something.
Oh man, the old days of passwords.
Oh yeah, but it's so much fun. Like that's how Mega Man was, right? I'm playing Mega Man 2 on my Game Boy right now.
Yep.
I take screenshots of like the password because I'm like, I'm not going to remember this. I can't draw a map right now. Like so, that's like really really cool music that I learned there. And the other game I liked actually was Mylon's Moving Castle. It kind of reminded Mylon's Secret Castle. I put Howl's Moving Castle together for some reason all the time. But that game is pretty fun too. Yes, so many. I could go on to so many more of the soundtracks, but yeah, those are the ones that off the top of my head.
What do you use to record on your computer? Do you use Pro Tools, Sonar, Cakewalk, or whatever? Like what do you use to get all your stuff on the computer?
Cubase.
Okay, there you go.
Right on. Well, what are you working on now? What current projects that you want to get out there, or what do you? Yeah, brag about yourself. Let's go.
So. Right now, I'm actually working on a game called Not a Clone. It's a satire game that kind of is similar to WarioWare on Game Boy Advance. It's making parodies of the saturation of clones in the apps in the App Store market. So games that came out originally, and then like other games that try to make clones
like
out of
Flappy
it.
Bird,
Flappy
clones,
Bird, exactly.
Yeah.
Super Hexagon, Threes, so on and so forth.
Angry Birds.
Yep. Cut the Rope, all of that. Like so, we create the developer Amiya Games hired me to do the sound for that, and it's going to be on iOS and Android. It's going to actually be at MagFest. So if you're going to be at MagFest, we got accepted into the showcase for that. So
cool.
Check that out there. Not a Clone is the game. There's another game. I'm not sure I could kind of talk about it yet, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm not really under NDA, and some that's cool
you
too.
You kind of skirt around it. You can just talk about what it. You don't have to name it out if you don't feel like it. You can just say, hey, what kind of it is.
So I'm going to tell you the name. The name is called Polyphony.
Cool.
And I can't really say much more about what it is, but except it's going to be heavily influenced by the music. And
okay.
I am actually
cool.
the composer for that game. And it's three of us, this guy named Don and James. James is actually a good friend of mine, also hosts the podcast Pixelated Audio. And he does really great art. And my goodness. So he was like, I'm going to make this game, and I want it to really be influenced by by the music and the styles and everything. And Don is the programmer, and he's like, Chase, like, we really love your sound and your music. Like, would you be interested in coming on? And like, yes. So we're actually working on that, and that's going to be in increments of over the year or two that we are going to be getting that together. So we'll see how those that plays out. There is another game. This one I can not really say yet, but I might have the opportunity to work with someone that was on The Witness, and
Cool.
he has a prototype game that's been floating around, and so that might be an opportunity that I'll be on that for that. But
So a lot of things basically.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'll also probably be putting out a my first game that I worked on was Electron Flux on the Android, and I'm going to be releasing the soundtrack for that maybe this year, but
nice.
for sure like early next year. So it was called Electron Flux Club Mix, I think. It's like the extended play.
Sweet.
Cool.
That's great.
Awesome.
Well, hey, you got anything else, John?
I think I'm about done.
Sweet. Well, thank you for that insight. That's awesome. Well, go ahead and how do people find some of your stuff, Chase? Like
how do they
websites?
chase you? Yeah.
How do they? Ooh, wah, wah. Dang. Podcast over. Nice. Yeah.
So you can find me at www.chasebethea.com. I'm sure you guys will put it in the show notes if you don't know it's my last name. You can find my music on SoundCloud. I am on Spotify. I'm on Bandcamp. I'm on Louder, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon. You can Google me, and I will come up. So
good job with your SEO.
That's when you know you've made it.
That was actually a goal that I made in 2008. I was like, I want to be Googleable, and then now I have some other goals that I want to do.
Hey, that's awesome. Well, thank you for the interview portion. But John,
man,
what are we doing now? Chase.
Battle boss time.
Yeah.
Woo!
You know what time it is, right, Chase?
Boss battles.
Yep. At the end of every interview, we like to shake down our guests and make them feel nice at home and embarrassed about how dumb they feel. But it's okay. I digress. Every episode we do a boss battle. So, do you know the boss of the week, Chase?
Joker.
The Joker from the Arkham series.
Nice.
The evil, deranged, at times hilarious, the psychopathic, green-haired, wide, maniacal smile showing, purple Armani wearing, leader of loyal clown goon gang, terror of Gotham City, arch enemy of equally weird Batman, and ruthless killer. Yeah, that dude. So that's who you're fighting today. So
Jack Nicholson's the best Joker.
Yes, this is true. Yes, I liked it. I also like the Heath Ledger Joker. The interpretation was pretty awesome. But I will run down how it works for everyone listening. So it's a series of questions, 5 total questions. The 4 previous questions, they're the normal levels, and they order in how hard they are. So they start easy and go up to hard. Okay, and you have 60 seconds for the first 4 levels. You can warp between levels. So if you don't know the question, you can say warp, and you can skip to the next level, and you can return to the question you skipped, time permitting. You get 1 power-up for the first 4 questions that you can make any question 50-50. Okay, so if you're on question 3, you don't know the answer, you say, hey, I want to use my power-up, and you can make the question 50-50, right? If you get through the first 4 levels, we're going to review them after you're done, and get 4 out of 4, you get an additional power-up for the final boss encounter. The final boss encounter is a difficult question, and you're going to fight the boss mano or woman like it was last week, and you have 30 seconds for that, and it's generally a subject loosely based on the boss history and blends games and reality and emphasis on science. And if you get 5 out of 5, which nobody has so far, you get to be in our Hall of Champions.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot right on the table. Do you have any
You want to be
questions?
Googleable? That'll make you Googleable.
This will make you Google. This is one of your goals to go perfect in the boss battle. Nobody has done it. 2 people have accidentally won. And actually, hey, we should put the stat is both winners were named Ed. So you know.
So it's not looking
not
good for
looking
you.
good at all.
Oh yeah, I know Ed.
Yeah. So, alrighty. So, any questions, Chase?
No. Kind of nervous.
Yes, John, are you ready? I know you are.
Oh yeah.
Chase, your boss battle begins when I finish reading the first question. Level 1. Which company created the 2-tailed fox sidekick named Tails? Is it A, Rare, B, Sega, C, Nintendo, or D, Microsoft?
B, Sega.
Final answer?
Yes.
Level 2. Over his prolific video game career, saving a damsel in distress may consistently preoccupy Italian hero Mario. But what is his day job?
Plumber.
Final answer?
Yes.
All right. Level 3. Nolan Bushnell, who founded Atari in 1972, also founded what national restaurant chain? 30 seconds.
You do have a power up
You have a
with
power
2
up.
questions left.
You can warp as well if you'd like. 20 seconds.
Chuck E. Cheese?
Final answer?
Yeah.
All right. Level 4. In 2013, the Smithsonian American Art Museum added 2 games to their permanent collection. Halo 2600 was one, and what was the other? 5 seconds.
Use your power up. You still have it.
Power up.
Journey or Flower? And time. Well, answer?
Flower.
Okay. Okay. Whew. We're going to go through these questions. Now, Chase, I'm
Yes.
going to be a little bit of blizzard here. I don't know if we had some Googling going on, but we had some. But it was a little pausey there, but we're gonna take it how it was. But let's go through these questions. So your level 1 question was, I mean, this was easy for you since you seem like a Sonic fan. Which company created the 2-tailed fox sidekick named Tails? And that's obviously Sonic's sidekick, right? And your answer was B, Sega. The other answers were Rare, Nintendo, or Microsoft. You're correct. B, Sega is the answer. Nice job. Yeah, 1 for 1. Level 2. Over his prolific video game career, saving a damsel in distress may consistently preoccupy Italian hero Mario. What is his day job? You said plumber. Indeed, Mario is a plumber, hence the pipes everywhere. Good job. Nice job. Okay, 2 for 2. Going strong. John, this is looking good, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Nolan Bushnell, right? You know that guy, the Atari dude. He's pretty famous.
Yeah.
What restaurant chain did he found? It was Chuck E. Cheese. The answer you said. Wow, you are 3 for 3. John, what is going on here? This is good. I'm digging it. Wow, okay, so you're 3 for 3 with 1 question left, huh?
And he had the power up.
And he had the
left.
power up left. So, geez, that's pretty awesome. Level 4. All right. In 2013, the Smithsonian American Art Museum added 2 games to their permanent collection. One was Halo 2600, and this was a deconstruction of Halo in a 2D plane. But what was the other? You used your power up, and your power up narrowed it down to Journey or Flower. You answered Flower, correct?
Yes.
John, what's the answer? Do you know?
No, I honestly don't know.
Well, I can tell you that Chase knew because the answer is Flower. He got 4
Oh,
for 4.
man.
Oh,
I
wow.
was sweating
wow.
bullets about that one. I was
Wow.
like, I want to say Journey.
4 for 4, and he gets a power up for the boss. He's cruising. Do we have history in the making right now, or is he going to be the Patriots of
I
2007?
think Chase is about to become Googleable.
I think
No.
he's going to be the Patriots of 2007. Actually, he's going to go perfect in the season and fail in the Super Bowl. But that's just me.
Oh, zing!
That's just me. Sorry, I had to get a Patriots zing in there. Yeah, you're right. Wow. Chase, you're looking good. All right, now you got the boss encounter coming up. Wow, that's good. 4 for 4. This is unprecedented. This is history in the making. I don't even know what to do.
It's hilarious.
I wasn't prepared for this, John. I don't know what to do.
I wasn't either.
Okay.
I thought I was going to blow the Chuck E. Cheese question.
I did too. So okay. We got to throw some tripwires down, some tire spikes, something to trip them up. Okay. All right. So how you feeling, Chase? You feeling excited? You feeling good?
No, I'm actually shaking because I'm like tired.
Yeah.
but you get those some like big ones, so
It's exhausting. I mean, I know this is tough, but just so you know, this question isn't very Googleable. This is out of the old wheelhouse. So we'll see what you can do here.
He also has a power up, though, correct?
He does have a power up. He does have a power up. So, are you ready to fight Joker? Joker's looking at you. He's laughing at you in a crazy maniacal laugh right now. Did you hear that? Oh yeah.
He's just about to ask you if you've ever danced with the devil in the midnight moon.
Yes, exactly.
Oh no. Oh no.
Why so serious? All right. Are you Chase? Are you ready?
Yes.
John, we got it. Come on.
Here we go.
Let's do this. All right. Your boss encounter starts when I'm finished reading the entire question. The Joker is the definition of insanity, which states, insanity, craziness, or madness is a spectrum of behaviors characterized by certain abnormal mental or behavioral patterns that may manifest as violations of societal norms. Wow. The fact that he's fighting a weird guy who dresses up like a bat at night beating up people is another crazy guy as well, but I digress. Superman rules, by the way.
Yes. That's what I mean.
Sorry, I had to diss on Batman. Your question. Before diagnosing a psychological disorder, clinicians must study the themes, also known as abnormalities, within psychological disorders. The most prominent of these themes are the 4 Ds that define normality. What are they? 30 seconds.
The 4 Ds? I'm going to power up on this one.
All right. 2 of them are distress, which means the subject is aware that he or she is troubled. The other is deviance, which they deviate from societal norms. What are the other 2? 10 seconds.
Distraction and disorientation.
Are those your final answers?
Yeah.
And time. Alrighty. Whew. Joker is nuts. He's laughing like crazy. So I think just naturally knowing Joker, he deviates from societal norms, right? So deviation, he portrays that. Distress, he's definitely distressed. He knows he's crazy, right? And troubled. So he's aware of this. Your answers were distraction, huh? There's one.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was what?
Disorientation.
Those are very good D words. I like them. So the other 2 answers were dysfunction and danger. Oh, so close. Good attempt. The subject is dysfunctional with most tasks they do, and they are a danger to themselves or others. So, so close. Chase, oh man, you 4 for 4. The first person to ever do that, to run the table on the early levels on the way to the boss. Nice job, but you tripped at the finish line. But again, you did really, really well. Like, I'm impressed. I don't know about you, John. I'm definitely impressed.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, hey, you know what? You did not defeat the boss, and you were going home with what do we say, John? Absolutely nothing. So you get nothing. But it's all right. You know, you get the satisfaction that knowing that the Joker is absolutely crazy, knowing that you went 4 for 4 on the first one. You're the first person ever. So congratulations on that. But we're going to take a break and let you kind of lick your wounds. And we're going to take a quick break. That boss battle was really something. Maybe if he had a little support during the encounter, that would have helped. Support in gaming? Huh. Well, that's exactly what RaptorCow does for you. If you're a game developer or a company in the gaming industry, let RaptorCow be your power-up. We offer creative production assistance, marketing, business development, and our high score program, all designed to take you to the next level. Let RaptorCow help you bring your ideas into reality. Go to RaptorCow.com for more information right now. Seriously, pause the episode and go there. Like now. I'll wait. And we're back. Just finished an epic showdown between the Joker and Chase, where the Joker laughed him to death, so to speak, whatever you want to call it. Used some nitrous oxide.
Chase is being de-indexed from Google.
For sure, yeah, they're taking him down. They're like, nope, he didn't finish the boss battle. He doesn't deserve to be number 1 ranked. So, how are you feeling after that?
It's all good. It's all good.
You know what? I think it is all good because I think that was probably the best showing we've had so far, John, I would say. Sure. Yeah. So you have that to hang your hat on. And there's always next time. So we'll have you back on the show and you can come on and maybe you can laugh at somebody else doing the boss battle or jump in yourself, whatever. Who knows? But,
yeah, maybe I'll fight Riddler.
Yeah, well, there you go. See?
And give me a nice riddle. I love those.
Perfect. Oh, see? That's a good one. Yeah, we'll have to do that. So this part of the show is where our guests bring a topic of the week. So Chase, do you still have the mental capacity to bring a a topic of the week after Joker? You good?
Yeah.
Sweet. What'd you bring for us today?
So my topic is adult nostalgia.
Okay, so go ahead and dive into that and unpack it for us. What do you want to?
So we all have nostalgia at normally, around our 20s and early 30s and whatnot. We all have, we remember when I used to play, these games with my best friend when I was a teenager, or I remember when, we used to do these things as like a child and whatnot. And then, you find something like maybe in your attic or your closet and you're like, oh my God, my Nintendo had, or, oh man, this cool toy I used to play, like this Muppet keyboard or something like that. And as we get older, things like life happens, we have families, we get busier, we have jobs, some of us get ambitious and we just go crazy. And we lose those like memories and we don't remember them as best. At least I don't think that we do as well for, the times that we had as a really, really early child. So what I thought about recently was, as I enter my 20s, I want things to remember like when I'm 50. Because I believe that when I'm 50, I'm probably not going to remember those early memories. I'm going to remember some, like maybe a few, but I'm not going to remember as much as I remember now. And so I'm trying to create adult nostalgia for when I'm 50 or 60 years old, to say like, oh man, I remember when I was like in my 30s and 20s, I played these games and I played, those games. And my topic is really based about like just games itself for that time, because I have a lot of game nostalgia from my childhood. And now I want to create like, I remember when I beat Rygar on the PS2 live on a Twitch stream, and I was struggling with it for months, and I actually took a chance and played it live and actually beat the game. Like that was awesome. And then like new memories to have for games when I'm like 50 or 60 to look back on, and triumphs and stories to tell others, because I'm probably not going to remember the earlier ones that I had as a child. So I thought about like setting a list up of just games that I haven't played either when I was supposed to as a child, and play them now, and then play the new ones, in conjunction with and whatnot, and move things around to say like, man, I was playing games from the 80s and I was playing games from the 90s, along with playing like 20, mid 2000 games and early 2001 games, and now here we are in 2041 or whatever. And those are all these games here, and I will remember those because I've created new nostalgia for that. And when I dig into my collection, I'm like, yeah, I remember Dying Light. Yeah, I remember playing, Tomb Raider to work on that game and stuff like that, and revisiting it. And so I'm trying to create a link to the past, if you will.
Nice.
No, that's awesome. I'm actually, once this work stuff settles down, I'm actually doing the same thing. I have a list of games that I haven't beaten or haven't really played enough of, and for me it's a lot of the Zelda games. And so, like John knows, I've talked about it on a lot of episodes. I just recently beat the first Legend of Zelda. I played it as a kid, but now I have that memory. It's like, I just beat that. It was awesome. Like It was great. And now I'm going back to all the games that I missed and didn't play and everything, while trying to supplement the other thing. But it's just time. And as an adult, you lose the time. You don't have the time, and especially with doing work and running the company like I'm doing now, it's just you don't have that much time to do it.
Exactly.
But that is such a good take, I think you have on it, is the adult nostalgia, because the memories I have of growing up and playing video games are some of the best I can think of. Like they are just like, when I see a game, when I see Final Fantasy VII, like I just remember the obsessive, crazy feeling that I used to think of, like when I was at school, like just like thinking about it all day, or when I was like. I was like 6, 7 years old playing Warcraft for the first time. Like all these different things, all these different games I was playing, like Lemmings and all the old games. And I would just take my Game Boy to school, and like I would just go to the bathroom and play in the bathroom for like 20 minutes, and the teacher would come get me. And then like my mom would stop letting me take my Game Boy to school. Just things like that. Like I would just do that all the time. It was just so much fun, and it's just there's these games I look at now, and like. People are like, oh, they don't hold up. Well, they still do hold up for me. I don't care about the graphics. It's the feeling of playing them. Like even though they suck and they're hard and that the gameplay is terrible, right. I still can like pick that up and be like, oh yeah, I remember that clearly. And like you said, being able to make those now is actually a kind of cool thing. And I don't think you can do it artificially,
right?
But I think making a list and saying, you know what, I miss these games. And then it's like almost in the sense of like, hey, when you go back, in 20, 30 years from now, and someone's like, oh, did you ever play that game back in the day? Because they may have really fond memories. You're like, oh yeah, I did. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I do have fond memories of that too, because you set aside the time to experience that, and you're creating that, and it as we get older, like just having time just to play video games is not there. You actually have to make the time. And as a kid, I think the nostalgia is a lot stronger because you have the time, you have the ability, it's just life is it. So you can make those memories easier. So as an adult, it becomes a lot more difficult. So I'm interested to see if it's kind of an impossible case study. We'll have to go 30, 40 years in the future to see that if going back and playing these old games or playing the games now will create the same nostalgic effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will. It's like you said, you can't do it artificially, but the happy accidents that you do have, that if you are playing, that you will remember them, and when you pick them up or you see them again, you hear them talked about, you might get that warm fuzzy feeling of like, oh yes, I remember when I bought my second Game Boy after I lost the first one. Maybe like I have a bad rap for, and everyone loves the story of me like breaking my first Game Boy with my head, and they think it's hilarious.
Oh my goodness!
Please tell me you smashed it against your head because you're mad at a game.
Yes, it was Donkey Kong.
Perfect.
Level 7.
Perfect.
Airplane.
We're done. That's it. Yep. Perfect.
I mean, but maybe I'll snap a disc or something like for in the future or something, or like I don't know, maybe the hard drive might glitch out and I'll get to like a different level or something, like you know what I mean. It's just happy accidents, but not that the Game Boy was a happy one, but
yeah, that sounds like a
things.
Big accident on the forehead. Ouch.
It hurt the Game Boy more than me.
Okay, yeah, I can't tell you how many NES controllers I've broken. Like
really,
at least 15. No joke.
Really?
My house, it was PlayStation controllers playing Game Day '98.
Oh yeah.
I was guilty of smashing quite a few for myself.
Oh yeah, I used to like sit and just snap in half. I was so mad. I just just break them right in half. Just pull it and or throw them.
Yeah,
they were done. They didn't stand a chance. So we just had a nice little bin of them. Like you acquire. You have like 7 or 8 of them. 2 of them work kind of. The other ones work decent. One the cord was all messed up. So. And then some would just be broken in half.
I can relate. I definitely can relate. But like you said, it'll be good to look back and see if that actually holds up. And I mean, at least for me, I think it will.
Think about this. This is my question for you, John. Since you lost your sight, that's kind of what you have to go on a lot of times, is that nostalgic feeling of playing games, right? So until you, me, and Chase, after we're done, we're talking about making that game that we were talking about, that accessible game, right? And especially with sound, boom, we can do that. But so that's what you hang your hat on now. And now, how? I know your son plays a lot of games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of information for your son, and we do the podcast, and you're very informed and everything, and you do experience video games. But how does that nostalgia affect you going forward? Like, do you try to create your own nostalgia?
Yeah, I guess it's more from, obviously the sounds. Like, I tell people music is a powerful, powerful thing. And, music is so powerful, it can bring you back in time. Mm-hmm. Like, I tell people, like, before I got in my car accident, I was listening to, like, a ton, this when the album for Pearl Jam, the first album came out in 10. And I used to listen to that thing all the time. And now if I hear any of the songs from the album, I get sucked right back into the summer before I lost my car accident, and I can see me riding my bike and just everything that was around me at the time when I'd be listening to that music. So music is so powerful. Like even when I was going through my darkest times, I'd listen to certain music, and if I hear it again, and boom, it brings me back to like the way I was thinking at that moment, or like people I was hanging out with at that time, or just just certain emotions I felt at that time. So like. The music in the video games is the same way. So, like, as you guys are going back, and if you're not, like, blowing through all kinds of games, but if you're, like, meticulously playing, one
Taking
game.
The time, right.
Yeah. And so then when you hear that music again, it's going to remind you, hey, yeah, when I was 28, I stuck it to the first Zelda, Like,
right.
So those sounds will even bring you back, or maybe you'll see a screenshot and it'll remind you, like, oh yeah, I remember I went back and played that. So I think just because it doesn't happen when you're younger, your mind will definitely still take snapshots.
Yeah,
and the music and the visuals are landmarks for your mind to come back to those spots.
For sure.
100%.
Right on. Well, that's Fantastic topic, Chase. Like, again, it's interesting to think of, and it kind of makes me, and maybe you too, John, like think of like maybe how we can create our own nostalgia for different things, like that. I kind of like that a lot.
I know it's a little unorthodox and
no,
it's a little cheesy.
It's not because you got to think publishers today, they make games now to play on nostalgia because who is the video game demographic? We are.
Yeah.
I mean, little 15-year-olds to 23-year-olds, they're going to play the new stuff, but they're not making Final Fantasy VII for them. The remake, they're making it for us. Because we're like the older demographic who grew up with games, and we want that nostalgic feeling back. And games today aren't giving us that. They're giving us great graphics. They're giving us good multiplayer. They're not giving us the nostalgic feeling.
And
that
younger crowd.
And you kind of bringing that up, Ted, is actually funny because I was sort of thinking of that as you guys were talking earlier with this topic. They got better graphics, better gameplay. It looks more realistic. But these Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games, N64, there wasn't the line wasn't so gray as to reality in a game. You knew Zelda was a game. You knew Super Mario Brothers was a game because of the graphics and the colors and the sounds. Now they're trying to make games so real. They're trying to blend that line of reality and video game. So I think the older games are actually easier to become nostalgic because there's that clear-cut line of reality and gameplay.
Exactly. So, so I think one of my libraries I'm going to touch on is that because I didn't have a Super Nintendo, so I missed a lot of Super Nintendo games. And so what I did is I jailbroke my Wii and got somebody to install like 4,000 of the games on it.
Wow.
And so I have like 1,000 SNES games, and so I'm going to get on that and here soon once I have some time, which doesn't look like anywhere in the near future, but very, very soon. But because I really missed a lot of SNES titles. Like I just didn't play them. I didn't have it. I had Sega. I went regular Nintendo, I did NES to Sega, and then Sega to the Master System, all those things. The Sega CD my friends had, played that. I played SNES at my friends' houses. And then I went to PlayStation and then just up that way. And so I just kind of missed the SNES. And so, Well, Chase, thanks. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I like that a lot. So
cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have some time for a couple emails. We have some good ones this week.
Yay.
And then we'll get out of here. So if you want to send an email in, send it to jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. I repeat, that's jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. So emails. We have some good ones today. We'll rapid fire through these. We already hit one earlier, so okay. Here we go. Hi, John and Ted, and you too, Chase, I guess.
Hello.
What is the best way to approach playing an open world game? I'll give you some background. I'm a father of 2, work 50 hours a week, but I do have dedicated 1 to 2 hours here and there to get some gaming in. With this year's insane slate of open world games, I've fallen behind. What do I do so I can get a decent experience from each without dumping months of my life into each one? This is from Kent from Henderson, Nevada. Chase, what do you think?
I would say it's kind of hard to just, you have to make the time, right? And you find a quiet time, like, to do that, or you tell your family, and you spend time with your family and say, hey, like,
he says he has 1 to 2 hours to do that. So he has the time 1 to 2 hours to dedicate, but not like the 50 hours a week to it.
Yeah, so he just needs to chip away slowly. Like that's the best way I could do it. It's like when you have your 1 or 2 hours and you sit down and it's kind of hard to get in, but don't become too inconsistent with it, because then it's kind of hard to get back into after like 2 or 3 months. Try to, when you have those 1 or 2 hours, be diligent and sit down and just play, because it's going to plop you right in as long as the game loads fast and there's no complications or whatever. Just play 1 or 2 hours, like, whenever you have the time, and stay diligent about it, like every day or every week or whatever it is, and you'll reach those 50 hours eventually. And don't worry about like putting it all in like at once, because you will eventually get through it. And I've done it before. Yeah,
but you got my whole, the other side of that is, okay, so he's got Fallout 3, Witcher 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, he's got Just Cause 3. And you see all these games, you got Tomb Raider. Yeah. All these crazy open world games, and he wants to play them. He likes open world games, obviously. Where does he even go? Like,
he needs to start with the one that he can
that he likes the most.
Finish first. That he likes the most, but he can realistically finish. So if it's Tomb Raider I know has like an open world but a linear story. He can easily finish Tomb Raider first, which is the biggest one of all.
What do you want though? Like, what do you want to do? Or with
Yeah, I guess
Fallout,
you're
I argue with Fallout might be bigger than Witcher in a way because there's more just crap to do in there. But
really,
like,
I think Witcher
To quote
way
a
bigger.
Pepsi commercial.
yeah,
To
true.
quote
I think
Pepsi
Witcher is
commercial.
probably more. There's a
With
lot.
all the DLC that like comes out and like I mean, like when you're playing, like missions lead into missions, so you're not even you're not even finishing the other mission you started because they started you on a mission that you had in between. It's like submissions, and then you're like, oh, what was I doing in the first place? And next thing you know, it's like 5 hours in.
Yeah, I guess so.
So he's never going to be able to finish in that sense. But Fallout's like, I was hearing other people talking about, it's like it's just a sandbox of just mess around, kind of like how we're talking, and it's just loose, and you can just like you can take some time up and you get lost where it's at, but then you move on and go somewhere else or whatnot. But maybe Just Cause, Tomb Raider, and finish those first, and then chip away slowly at the other games like Metal Gear, and then Fallout, and then Witcher, and then you'll eventually like get through them. And it may take you years, but just keep at it.
All right, so you heard it first, and well, it might take you years, but then next year's gonna be like 10 more open world games, and you're farther behind. So there you go. Well, you heard it here from Chase, our resident open world expert. I like that take on it. He gave you the order. Hope that helps, Kent. All right, moving on. Let's see. Cool. Hi, John and Ted. What is your favorite thing about Thanksgiving? What is the food you look forward to the most? Alvin from California. John, what do you think?
Ooh, pumpkin pie is number one.
Yeah.
Pumpkin rolls are also very delicious.
I had some pumpkin bread this morning for breakfast real quick.
Yeah, my wife made some the other day, and like there's like a pretty good chunk left in one of the bread pans, and I just took the whole thing and started eating it. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, eating pumpkin bread. And she's like, look how big that piece is. I was like, well, it looks smaller in the pan. And I was like, besides, I'm blind, so
I couldn't tell. I couldn't see.
Yeah. But that doesn't fly around here, so
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm looking forward to, definitely, like, I wish if my mom was here, I'd have like her dressing that she makes, like the country, like southern dressing, the sweet potatoes, pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, collards, Brussels sprouts, basically everything. Thanksgiving is the greatest day on the earth. I feel bad for other countries who don't have Thanksgiving. So.
My wife is gonna brine the turkey again this year.
Ooh,
so
nice. That's the way to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I was responsible for Thanksgiving a few years back. Me and my buddies had it at his house. We call it Friendsgiving. We had all the friends in San Diego do it, and it was about 30 of us, and that was super stressful. But yeah, we did the whole. We actually went to a turkey farm and killed our own turkey.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but whatever. You just run and grab it, and you just split the neck. It's like running around the park. You just grab the one you want and just cut a neck, and then you had to feather it yourself. It takes like 3 hours, and you got to gut it and all this stuff. Yeah, but
I was wondering why you said it was stressful. Now I'm stressed hearing about it.
no, that wasn't stressful. The stressful part was like cooking everything, getting everything together and made and done, and people delayed, and oven messing up, and just stuff,
man.
and like 30 people over, and it's like 7:00 at night. I haven't eaten yet. I'm pissed. And like, yeah. So, but it was fun. We had a good time. But what about you, Chase? What are you looking forward to?
Mine, well, unfortunately, like I won't be able to get it. But what I usually look forward to if I was with my family, like my mom, like I said, makes that wonderful macaroni and cheese,
me too,
and
man.
it's the sweet potatoes, and
Yep.
that's pretty much it. Like cranberry, like
Cranberries,
just
that's my thing.
in the can. Like
Yeah.
just do that
Cranberry
together,
sauce.
and I'm very happy. But normally, I'm really looking towards that macaroni and cheese, and I'm dead afterwards.
Yep, exactly. I know, me too. But hopefully we'll get some good ones. You have some friends popping around. And like I said, if
Don't forget the Excel spreadsheet. You'll be all set.
Exactly.
Oh yes, I
You'll
will
be
take
good.
those tips.
For sure. Like, and set it down. Okay. Okay. So this is, I got this email and I almost died laughing. Okay. So this is perfect with the Thanksgiving and eating a lot type of deal. It's kind of a good segue here. So it says, hey guys, and the subject line is actually, how much is too much? Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And it says, hey guys, what is the adequate appropriate or acceptable, insert another adjective with a, for the amount of times you should have a successful bowel movement in a day? My friend and I were debating, and once a day was the FDA-approved dosage. But what about more or less? Is there a standard deviation? What's the min, max, median, and range? As you can see, this simple debate quickly turned technical, and we haven't solved anything. As a side note, it started because I must mention that during extended intense game sessions, I will often go 2 to 3 times due to the intense action taking place. Donnie from Mesa, Arizona. Wow, nice. There's a lot to unpack here. So, okay.
Hey, he's not proud. No shame in him, man.
Right. Okay. So, we got to get our daily adequate of, quotient of poop talk on the show. So here we go. How much is okay? So the FDA dose is once a day, right? Standard deviation. Like, what are we thinking? Like, what is like the minimum? If you don't go once a day, what's like the minimum max day you should wait? Like one, like every other day max. If you're eating a lot, like
I think technically you're supposed to be worried if you go 3 or 4 days without going.
Okay. So 3 or 4 days. Well, the amount of food I consume, if I didn't go for 3 or 4 days, that would be very dangerous to the human race.
Yeah, you'd probably blow up.
Yeah, that would be really, really bad. Yeah, I have a buddy. I'm going to call him out. My buddy Brandon. He's the offensive lineman. He used to play for the Chargers. He's 6'6", 6'5.5", like 340 pounds at his heaviest, like 330 when he played normally. But he goes maybe 5 times a day. And it is disgusting. And even in college when we were kids and we were roommates and everything, and we're 30 now, and he was just atrocious at that. He would just always be in the bathroom. Like, dude, what are you doing in the bathroom? Oh, I'll put him on blast too. He when we were roommates, he broke my toilet seat 3 times.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, you have a 300+ pound man sitting on your toilet like 6 times a day. It's the toilet seat's going to give out. It's going to
crack.
Yeah, it's going to wear out. But yeah, I digress. The other part of this is, what games is he playing?
Yeah, that's what I said. Right. What games is he playing?
That's getting him so excited.
Yeah, like what is he playing? Silent Hills and jump scares? He's like, oh, I gotta go. Oh my goodness! Like seriously, like what games would make you like have to like go to the bathroom? Like I'm trying to think, like from intenseness. I mean,
when I was playing Prince of Persia: The Warrior Within, I was pretty stressed running from the Dahaka. I'm gonna say, I sweat the freaking.
I sweat a lot
joysticks
too.
off. I just sweat the joystick like material off.
Oh, you did the top part of the nubs? Oh.
Yeah, I sweat it off.
You're on PS3 then, huh?
You have PS2.
PS2, I mean. So, yeah. Those used to do that all the time, yeah. You rubbed them off. Yeah.
But I didn't use the bathroom. But it was pretty intense.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think if there's any other situation in life that would make me like be that stressed out where I just have to go to the bathroom.
Sports games.
I mean, sports, but any other situation, like what other situation, like I'm gonna crap my pants. Like what other situation in life that makes you that stressed out that you got to go to the bathroom? Actually, my sister, I'm gonna call myself out. My sister will have she can attest to this. Whenever I see my sister, like we see each other a couple times a year. She's in Florida, but whenever I see her, we'll end up doing something. It'll be a few days. We'll have to go to the store or something. But whenever we go to Target together, I have to go. Every single time. I think my body is conditioned like the little bell, and the training the dogs. Like when I go into Target with my sister, yeah, exactly. But it has to be with my sister, like every single time. I'm like, where's the bathroom? I gotta go. I'll just disappear, and she'll know, and she'll be stranded in the middle of Target waiting for me to find her again. I'm like, she's like, you went. I'm like, yeah. Oh no! Wow, that's a little TMI. So Donnie, I think our answer is. Do you go every day?
Just go.
Just go when you gotta go. Like if you're going, okay. This is healthy, right? Here we go. Here's my official diagnosis or my official recommendation. Like John said, the minimum, if you go 3 or 4 days without going, like anything more than that, you got a problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going the flip side. That if you're like Brandon going 5 to 6 times a day, you got a problem. So if you're in that range of, what is it, 0.3 times a day, 0.3 to 5, you're good, right? So just be happy and don't complain about it too much, right? Just rock and roll. And also make sure your game you're playing has a nice pause button, because 2 to 3 times during a game session is crazy. So
make sure you wash your hands too.
Oh yeah, please do. Yeah, that controller is terrible.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Got that out of the system. Terrible. Here we go. This is for you, Chase. Someone wrote in. John, Ted, and Chase. I noticed you've been having a lot of game composers and sound people on the show, and that's awesome. I'm an audio engineer interested in games, so it's great to listen to, but I have 2 questions. one, what is the most difficult part of making music for games, and is it in high demand? And two, it seems like there's an oversaturation of the market with game sound guys. Is this the case or just my imagination? Thanks. Heidi B. from Boise, Idaho.
Hi, Heidi. Yes, I would. You're not imagining things. There is an oversaturation, sadly. If you go on any forums or posts, whatever, and even at the slightest like game posts for music, there's going to be a lot of responses and a lot of bids that come in, sometimes hundreds. And I hear from developers and some things when I get chosen for a gig, it's like we went over like 200 applications or 300 applications for the position. However, I wouldn't say that. I would say don't let that discourage you. Your other question was, what's the most difficult part of making music for games? I would say the most difficult part is getting started, understanding
Nice.
where you're going to go with it and if they're going to like it. And sometimes communication can be slightly difficult depending on what developer you're with. Sometimes communication is great, and other times some developers don't really know how to convey what they mean when you're sending in your demos or your music to them for review and whatnot, and they'll use some adjectives and things, and it won't mean that at all. Actually means something completely different on the other side of the spectrum. So that could be a little trying, but it ends up working out as long as you lay down the foundation for communication early. Is it in high demand? I don't know if it's in high demand. I know that every game does need sound. It just depends, again, like on the developer and their perspective of if they want to do it themselves because they don't have the money, quote unquote, or if they do value like sound and whatnot, then, I mean, yeah, they're going to want to put sound in their game. But again, it just comes down to the preference of the developer and whatnot. And there are ways to negotiate things, and what I believe is just education, across the board for developers and whatnot, to let them know, like, hey, don't be afraid to ask us, what is the price of such things and whatnot, and what you can do and what you can't do, and don't try to always do it yourself if you don't have the time or you're not that great at it, because your project might suffer. So that's the best way I can answer that for you. I hope that helps.
That's pretty good, actually, and I think I'm gonna kind of chime in on this. Is for the number one question that they asked was, what's the most difficult part of making music for games? And you kind of went up with the communication part, but what about the actual making of the music in compared to the medium? I think that was something that Alex touched on in our episode 5, and then also in the panel that we were at yesterday. What are some things like that are difficult about?
I think what's difficult about it is making sure that it matches the game specifically. Like the game, you're making music for this art, this collective art between the program and the story and everything has to be cohesive and match and consistent. And
good experience for the player, right?
Yes, that's the ending. That's the end product for that. A good experience for the player, that the player is immersed in that world, creating the sound of the world. Creating the identity for that game itself. I think is the most difficult, to try to make sure that you're hitting all the points between like I said, the story and the characters and the art, the environment, and creating that together to make it cohesive and all together is something that you have to put your sound palette together. If you're doing 8 bits, if you have 8-bit art with sprites and whatnot, you could do the 16. Yeah, you could do that, but maybe that's not what the background art has. Maybe the background art has some like nice palettes and
JPEGs
some Picasso type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to decide: are you going to mix the two, or are you're going to have some guitars in there? Are you going to have some saw waves in there, some triangle waves? Are you going to do both? How are you going to use that? Your arrangement, your sound palette is extremely important, and like I said, it's about getting started to create that sound palette to make sure that it matches for the game. That's the most important part, and I would say that's probably not the most difficult, but that can be difficult if you don't know where to begin.
Right on. Well, Heidi from Boise, you heard it from an expert. Awesome. I think that'll do it for emails for time's sake. Time to get out of here. Getting a little long on the tooth. So John, we got the closeout segment of the week. Like every episode we end in a special segment that we like to close out with, and this week is John's games to watch out for. And so,
yes, sir.
What do we got?
we got a game on Kickstarter. This is actually a board game called Century Saga, but it's based off of a online game by a company called Vesuvius Media. They're out of Canada, and so there's this online, sci-fi co-op game that they've turned into a board game, and this is an interesting take with the board game because I believe it's the first sci-fi co-op board game that's been made where this was new to me, where there's teams of players, but you're not battling each other, you're battling the board game.
Ooh.
And so there's set missions within the board game, and you're fighting these missions with the people you're on the same team. So like that's actually pretty cool. So
did it go into like, are the missions like, so can you replay this? Are the missions different every time, or like you play the same missions? Like, is it like one and done?
I believe the board game comes with 4 or 5 missions. They're doing a stretch goal right now where I think they're adding even more.
Oh, cool. And then they'll probably add add-ons later.
Yes, but I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably even make up your own missions once you see how they kind of lay them out.
Oh, cool.
But so it looks really cool. They've already hit their goal. So if you want to, to get Century Saga, then it's already been funded. So they got 6 days left. I think it ends on Monday. So I think it's $45 for the game, which is a really good price. It comes with a ton of miniatures and all kinds of stuff. So these guys are going all out. That's a really good price for the game. It would probably retail, I think they said, at $80 or $90. So,
well, cool. So that's something good to check out. So if you get a chance, we'll link it in the show notes for you guys to have. And then so that's gonna do it for us today. Great to have you, Chase.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. It was good insight. Again, I loved your panel last night, and good to have you on the show today. And saying that, let everyone get some music in their ears for Thanksgiving and get on out of here. So here's a chance to get your last shameless plugs. Go ahead and go. What's all your handles, Twitters, and everything?
Twitter is at Chase Bethea, and SoundCloud is Chase-Bethea-1. And like I said, find me on Bandcamp and
Google.
Yeah, Google will find everything for you. Amazon, Google.
That's cool. And Bethea is spelled Bethea, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it. Like I said, you guys can get a hold of us and email us at jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. All of our social media is the same at jtexgamecast. That's Twitter, Instagram. Join our Facebook group, John and Ted's Excellent Gamecast group. You can post stuff in there. You can get at us. My personal Twitter and all my social media is at Tedwards44, Tedwards44. John is at jnado, Nadeau 7. And this has been a good episode. It's been episode number 8, and thanks a lot for listening. And if you haven't noticed, we are playing for our outro music this week, Chase's own music. So enjoy that, the extended outro music. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Game over.